Darling Manland.
Yes, Darling and Ladyman. Now, they run the Department for Transport, and I'm sure you read recently that they've got some pretty radical ideas for reducing congestion. Essentially, what they're saying is that road tax will be greatly reduced, maybe even abolished altogether. The duty on fuel will be greatly reduced. Instead, you will pay as you drive, road pricing.
Exactly, per mile. Slightly more complicated than that, because then you'll pay more for certain times. So, you know, on the M4 at 8:30 in the morning, you might pay £1.40 a mile, but on a country road in the middle of the afternoon, about 3p.
What do we think?
What do you reckon?
You don't like the idea?
Well, there are some advantages, aren't there?
I thought about this very carefully, and if, for example, you were an old lady who just went out in the car once a week to buy some cat food, for example, you'd pay less fuel duty, you'd be paying less road tax, you'd be driving in the middle of the day, and it would cost you threepence halfpenny.
Yeah, so it would be cheaper.
It's good for me, to be honest. Ford GT. Because at the moment, if you drive a car that uses 4 miles to the gallon, it's a lot more expensive than running a Ford Fiesta. But if the roads are the same price, the Ford GT, I mean, petrol's much, much cheaper.
Because there's no duty on the petrol.
Exactly, so the roads, you'll pay the same whether you're in a Ford Fiesta or a...
Please, we can all have Dodge Vipers.
It's very egalitarian.
Well, no, you've got a slight worry, because if they put a black box in your car and know where you are, they also know how fast you're going, exactly. They know how fast you're going, so you're going to get letters from these two saying you were doing 72 on, and you were in 4th, and you should have been in 5th gear. That's what they're going to be doing. Well, not 5th gear, obviously. Top gear. Some specific on that. Yeah.
What concerns me is this. What about all the people who, you know, work in towns and cities, like maybe firemen, teachers, traffic wardens, but they can't afford anymore, they've been priced out of flats, they can't afford to live in the city. They won't be able to afford to commute in from the outskirts either, because it can cost a fortune at peak times.
That's a good point.
I mean, I was going to say my big point, but actually that's my new big point. The point I was going to make is now my second big point, which is, at the moment, BP, Shell, Esso, all the fuel companies, they get, I don't know, 50 million quid from selling petrol, diesel, what have you. They just write out a cheque for 70% of that, so 35 million, send it to Gordon Brown, he pops it in the bank, jobs are good. That costs, yeah, okay, that's how it works. If we now have this, it means everybody here, somebody's going to have to monitor how you drove here, your black box, send you letters, send you bills. They're going to have people dealing with company car, and it was a hire car, and all of these different things. It's going to cost an absolute fortune.
And here's another thing. The only way this can reduce congestion, a system like this, is by pricing us off the road, by having fewer cars on the road. But that's forgetting that the only reason we have congestion and rush hours is because we all need to be in the same place at the same time. So that's when we go to work.
There is that sort of assumption by the government that we're all driving around at 8 o'clock in the morning to be really annoying.
Let me put it to you this way. As far as I work out, it's a bit like saying, well, the sewage system's completely clogged up, okay? So, if you take a dump during, say, I don't know, a penalty shootout in a World Cup final, 2p. If you take a dump just after the papers have been delivered in the morning, 5 quid. Oh, I can't afford to go. That's when you go in the morning. Got